Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DDL Main League's very first live streamed playoff game of all time, actually, and it'll be between the Lavender Town Lampents and the Lilycove Latias, two teams that really deserve their spots here in the playoffs. But before we get into all that, my name's Clomps, and I'll be joined here today with G for Gamer. How you doing, Gamer?
I'm doing good, Columns. And both teams are very interesting. Both have amazing runs throughout this entire season, and I'm very excited to see how both Nimble and Dakota play this out.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's one of those matchups where we've seen them play a couple times already, three times to be exact, in the regular season. So adding another five-game series is going to be a lot of work for both these coaches, and I'm sure they'll be tired of each other by the end of this season, however long it is for either one of them. But yeah, no, they have two very familiar teams that we've seen on stream a couple times by now. And for the Lavender Town Lampents, we're seeing that signature Charizard X here. And that's really big for him because it allows him to control the game in a lot of aspects, as well as deal a lot of damage. It's one of his main damage dealers once things get low, as we saw in the Kanto Koraidon matchup in Week 9 against Span. And then for this Cleavor, I think it's another one of those mons we don't really see a lot from the Lavender Town Lampent, right? Um, so it'll be interesting to see if it can get what it wants to do out, which is usually set up spikes, maybe a tailwind if you're bold like that. Although it looks like Lilycove will be bringing that Trick Room team. And that Sneasler, the classic Belly Bolt that we heard him talk about in the interview the other day. And then that Milotic that we haven't really seen be brought a lot. So it'll be interesting to see if this Milotic can actually carry its weight going into this one. And then that weirder that we saw in the week 1 matchup and the week 2 matchup as well. Or not the week 2 matchup, but the in season tournament matchup. Which didn't actually end up having an attacking move at the time, so it'll be interesting to see how Dakota changes that up. If you want to start talking about Lilycove, though.
Oh yeah. So for the Lilycove Latias side, we have that Mega Golurk, we have that Hatterene, good speed control with Nuzzle with both Raichu and Hatterene. We have Scissor to just start dishing out really good damage with bullet with stab, technician bullet punch and X scissors pounces. It also does have tailwind because it is from the Scyther line as well. We have fake out pressure from both Raichu and Weavile, and then that's Slowbro to start like to set some trick room for that fasty game mode that Dakota may put out. But I'm more interested in the Cleaver because Cleaver is one of those Pokemon where it could clean up a lot of games if you allow it to, but it's also a double-edged sword whenever it's not in a great position.
For sure. Yeah, no, and I think Cleaver is one of those mons where, if it does its job, it could very well be like a very game-changing Pokemon for the Lavender Town Lampents in this matchup, especially seeing as like some of these mons are really bulky and it'll help to not be able to let or shoot to not let Lilycove get those switches off for free.
Yeah. As for the Lampents, the Lampents does have that weird ear, does have that Milotic being able to punish any special attack drops, any and drops in general. Weird ear being able to reverse Trick Room, or even in prison Belly Bolt, as you mentioned before, it can go for that soak and it can go for the soak and parabolic charge combo. The
Right.
Sneasler is an insane tool for being able to just board break the opponent's side of the field. And the Mega Charizard X, it does not have that much of a reputation in the current VGC format, but in draft it is a menace.
For sure. And I think we've seen breaking swipes from Dakota a couple times, but as well as a special set, and I believe week 7, and also just the regular setup sweeper set with the Dragon Dance a couple times as well. So it'll be interesting to see what Dakota decides to actually bring to this matchup. Of course, that Hattering on the Lily Cove side is terrifying for this Dakota team, just because, it's going to do what it does, and that's deal damage, set up Trick Room, and kind of otherwise just be a menace the entirety of the game, as long as it's on the field at least. Gamer?
I do agree. Um, both teams have really good offensive pressure in their own ways. However, it's just a matter of which can get the momentum swinging into their favor.
Right, and I'm going to go ahead and start looking for this link so we can get into the game if you want to kind of fill out time.
Yep. Um, so looking at both teams, they both really want to just start knocking walls down and kind of just nuke each other's stuff almost instantly. So like their game plan is probably going to be a bit passive at the beginning, but like as the board develops, we're probably going to see a lot of these explosive turns.
For sure, and I think it's one of those things where we've seen it before, and we'll definitely see it again a couple more times this season between these two teams. But there's a real situation where like they're just gonna try to just reposition as much as possible to get that big damage off. We know Lilycove loves to sack off Mons to get that Golurk in on a free turn, and that's something Dakota needs to be careful about, especially if Trick Room just gets up. And you don't want to let Lilycove get those switches for free. You want to force him to hard switch there. And yeah, no, I'm gonna go ahead and see if we can get into this game. If you want to cover for a bit.
All right. So as expected, as we saw in the team preview, we know everyone's teams, we know how everything is gonna check out. Um, you do have the good luck, have fun from both players, and then we have the Lilycove Latias leading the Hatterene Scissor, and appears there has been a small hiccup on the team, I believe, because I do not remember seeing a Nine Tails on the preview.
I think that is actually a me problem, probably again.
The Weird Deer has been replaced by a Ninetales, but we do see the Ninetales Cleaver. Um, we do see Ninetales Cleaver
Oh, okay.
as
So
their opening lead.
this changes it up a little bit because that means Dakota's going for a very screens heavy offensive mode here, not really caring about the speed tiers. But we do see the belly bolt switch come out, the X Scissor into that Hatterene doing right over half, and the Iron Head into that Cleaver doing 80% here, with the Trick Room coming up from the
Hattering
Hatterene. Lily Cove is now on the
is
shoot.
now pressing is now on a pedal to the metal here. They're putting the pedal to the metal here with this insane turn of being of not of taking that X Scissor, getting that Trick Room up. A Belly Bolt is kind of in a good position here, but also it is a little bit off because that Belly Bolt can get that electromorphosis triggered by any attack. But also he has to deal with that scissor and that Hatterene being able to just dish out massive damage with technician boosted bullet punch X scissors, and
And
then
we
that
do see
high
that
special
Milotic
attack
come in
Hatterene with
here.
D
The
gleams.
D-Gleam comes out from Hatterene here, just starting to do that chip that it loves to do. And we see the accuracy drop come out from that Muddy Water on the Belly Bolt. And Electromorphous gets procced thanks to that U-turn from Scissor. But it looks like he might get a free switch into Golurk here, so it'll be interesting to see if that speed drop... Oh, that's a room service Milotic, I believe. This is very, very interesting. Dakota's kind of trying to flip the script here. Lily Cove knows they can't switch in that Golurk for free here, so now he's got to figure out what he's switching in instead. Gamer?
The accuracy drop on the Hatterene could have will be impactful later in the battle, but Lampens is trying to claw back a little bit of the advantage with that Milotic purposely lowering its speeds down with the room service being slower in Trick Room. That Golix switches in.
And
There's another snow turn, but neither player actually can take advantage of it. The Belly Boy is in a rough position staring down that Golurk, especially with the unnerfed Unseen Fist with that Mega Golurk.
right. And I think this is a scary situation if you're the Lampent still, because Lilycove's decided they want to stand here on that Golurk and just get damage out. Giga Drain from Hatterene gets that Hatterene a little bit of health back. Weather Ball into Golurk, doing only 48%, not even
And the
over
Blizzard comes out from
half.
Milotic.
And that Headlong Rush will
Oh
pick
my!
up the one or the KO onto that Milotic here. Now Dakota's got to figure out how he's going to take care of this Golurk the rest of the game.
We do know that the Belly Bolt is slower than the Golek here, so Muddy Water could pick up the KO with a fake out from the Sneasler.
Right, and this
So
Hatterene has
it's
that accuracy drop just a little bit, so Lilycove's playing a little bit of gambling, even just going for those spread moves at this point. Gamer?
let's see. The Golurk is in a kind of a bad position here with that headlong rush drop. It did pick up an important KO, but also it's kind of also and it kind of checkmated itself. As we saw, the Belly Bolt is slower, and that Sneasler can't ignore the Trick Room with that fake out priority.
Right. And I think it's one of those situations where, Lilycove has two turns of Trick Room left here, but he's kind of on a really bad position with his Hatterene and Golurk, both kind of being low on HP. You kind of want to preserve these, but to really have them shine in the Trick Room, you have to get rid of that Belly Bolt at the same time. So you have to kind of dedicate a switch to even try to get this Belly Bolt off the field and to do anything, while that Sneasler's allowed to put on a little pressure as well. And I mean, we're talking
It
about
is
this.
a tough position for the Latias. It is a tough position for the Latias, but I believe they can claw it back. I believe they will be able to claw it back.
Right. And I think it's one of those situations where this is one of those skill checks for the Lilycove Latias that we've seen so many times during this like series or this series between these two coaches this season. And this is where, Lilycove's made some of the best decisions, but Dakota's looking to also make some really good decisions, keeping that momentum alive, and it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. But talking about the Sneasler, right? It's got that dire claw coverage. Golurk's slow enough to where, like, even if it gets caught out of Trick Room, the Sneasler can pick up a KO on it regardless of anything. Um, and it has that close combat coverage to be able to take care of like pretty much anything else on this Lily Cove roster. But the D Gleam comes out, the miss from the Belly Bolt, and now that Weather Ball's gonna pick up the
Oh, but
KO
the
into the
Weather Ball
Golurk.
does pick up. The Fire
Sneasler
Punch
Fire
does hit
Punch
the Hatterene.
leaves Hatterene on 1 HP with one turn of Trick Room left.
The the Dakota can very well just stall out this last turn of Trick Room with Dust Double Protect, but however, there is the chance that Lollipop Latias can go for the big brain tech and just double reverse the Trick Room to reset the entire thing.
Right, and I think it's one
The
of those
fake out has been
situations.
the fake out turn has been wasted because Sneasler did not go for it. The Belly Bolt can just switch out to preserve itself, and honestly, there's not much that this team can deal with right at the moment.
For sure, and I think it's one of those situations where like this Slowking doesn't need to really reverse necessarily. It's really bulky already, and so being able to go for like the KO potential on anything here is big. And we see that D-Gleam come out for that Hatterene again. Proxy Electromosis. The Psychic goes into that Belly Bolt, picking up the KO here. So now that big threat is kind of off the board, and Sneasler not doing very much into the Slowking slot, allowing it to kind of go for a Trick Room depending on what Nervous Cervix brings in here, which is that Cleave War. Gamer?
Dakota is in a strong position now. Cleaver with the sharpness boosted X Scissor can take out that Slow King or anything that switches into it. Just deal a huge chunk to it. The Sneezer can take out the Hatterene, kill two birds with one stone there. And honestly, Dakota is in a really demanding position. Despite being Dynamon, he's already proving that he can claw back immediately just as fast.
Right, and I think it's one of those situations where this scissor still has a lot of HP. You're more worried about getting that Charizard on the mismatch for Lilycove, so you don't have to deal with it long term. But Lilycove's done a really great job of preserving it so far, even though they are on their back foot against this Cleavor and this Sneasler here. Um, but yeah, I think that's more of a testament to how both these players are playing right now. They're keeping it tight, they're making the right plays when they need to, and now Lilycove's pulled back some momentum. And the Fire Punch goes for the Hatterene here. Scissor switches
The
in
X Scissor.
to tank that X Scissor, and now Lilycove gets a free switch in. Probably for that Slowking, if I had to guess.
Or even the Weavile to just pressure fake out.
Right, right. And this Scissor has a shot at taking out this Cleaver very easily with Bullet Punch. But even then, you could threaten a KO on the Sneasler, depending on the damage output of this Scissor.
I do agree. The Scissor can pick off either or of Cleaver and Sneasler. The Weavile does come in pressuring that fake out, forcing Dakota to either make the defensive play or just kind of go with the flow and honestly it's not that bad of a position to be in here because both mons are both of Latias's mons are relatively healthy, and neither of them will really just drop to anything. The Weavile will probably be holding that focus sash. The quick guard comes out from the cleaver. Bullet punch protects the Sneasler. The knockoff does take out the cleaver, and the fire punch does take out the scissors. So both trainers get that get that trade.
Now it's 3-3, very even. And this Sneasler's on a little less HP than I think Dakota would like, but this Weavile, this Slowking, and this Raichu are kind of all Lilycove has left on the momentum for their offense. So we'll see how they take the lead going into this turn 8 here. Obviously, we see that Ninetales come out from Dakota. So this thing will be able to get some screens up and set this Charizard up to be really bulky depending on the EV spread on that Charizard. So it will really help to let it take that damage and kind of just get set up and clean up the game here, depending on what Lilycove does.
I
Gamer?
agree that Ninetales is also in a really great position. The Raichu does also have fake out pressure, so Dakota does not have that quick guard anymore to be able to just brush it off. So he will have to. So Latias will have to make a big decision on which Pokemon will be the one to take to be to be the fake out puntee.
Right. And I think for Lilycove, it's going to be more important for this Ninetales to get stopped from getting those screens up so he can take advantage of that next turn. But at the same time, you've got to wonder if the Sneasler's going to be outspeeding this Weavile and just picking up the KO anyways. And the flinch does go,
The
or the
fake
fake
out
out
comes
goes into
out.
the
Knockoff
Ninetales, and
does.
Weavile is faster than Sneasler, picks up the KO here. And now Lilycove's kind of in a commanding spot. Charizard comes out for Dakota as his last mon in the back there. This Charizard has a lot of good pressure going into this turn, though. Gamer?
With that breaking swipe, with that tough gloss Flare Blitz breaking swipe, the Ninetales being able to Blizzard or Moonblast a Weavile, or Icy went to get more speed control. That Charizard is actually going to be in a really good spot here, but it also comes down to Dakota being able to navigate this board state. Weavile still can go for that triple axle, and it's still getting that defense buff from the snow effect, as well as the Raichu can just go for the Nuzzle to just paralyze it. We do see the Moonblast, and triple axle goes into the Charizard. It only hits one time. The Thunderbolt goes into Charizard. Breaking Swipe hits both Pokemon. Raichu getting dropped down to 45%. And now it's looking better for Dakota here.
Lilycove down to those last two Pokemon as well. Raichu kind of just stuck here, not really doing a lot of damage to that Charizard, and this Slowking is got to figure out how it's going to navigate this end game here for the Lilycove Latias. Dakota really has put on a lot of pressure going into this turn 10, and we see the Protect come out from Raichu. Moonblast into the Slowking does a good
The Shadow Claw.
percentage. Shadow
Shadow Claw
Claw on
into
that
that.
Charizard. Trick Room comes out from that Slowking. And now Lilycove's going
I
to see
don't.
if they could do something here.
This board state is very interesting because I do not think that Slow King plus Raichu can take out the Charizard, and even if he does, the Ninetales is still just waiting to just stab his opponent in the back and just straight up go for those knockouts. Sidekick does go into the Charizard. Breaking Swipe does get pick up
Double
the double
KOs
KO, and
here.
the game one goes for Dakota.
Congratulations to the Lavender Town Lampent on continuing that dominance against the Lilycove Latias, especially here in Game 1 of playoffs. That's a very big win for Dakota, now taking control of the series here. Gamer, if you want to go ahead and start covering the game until I can get him on.
Alrighty, so turn one we do see. Turn one was very interesting as we did get caught by surprise by that Ninetales. Um, the belly bolt switches to get to the belly bolt switch to get that to bait out that electromorphosis boost, but it did happen later in the game. The Milotic being able to just switch in to get that boot to get that speed control in Trick Room. I do agree that Muddy Water did play a huge part with Hatterene getting its my bad, I just keep stuttering a bit. Um
That's okay.
keep getting those keep getting
keep missing, keep missing
Yeah,
those
keep
D
missing.
gleams here. And we see that massive Giga Drain bring, just keeping this Hatterene alive for a couple more turns than it probably deserved to be. it's it's really interesting on Lilycove's side. That headlong rush here, I think, was kind of the nail in the coffin for Lilycove because, even though they took down that Milotic, this Golurk was out of position, and it's really hard to preserve it at this point in the game. And that Weather Ball does end up picking up the KO here. And let's see.
As for the rest of the late game, the Sneasel did put in a lot of work with the fire punches and dire claws. We did oh,
Hello, hello.
we do have Dakota here now.
Hello, Dakota. Welcome on. Congratulations
Whew.
on winning game one of this series. Uh, you
Oh
know,
man, that was sweaty. My heart is pounding.
Yeah, no, congratulations on this big win against your rival. I mean, you knew it wasn't going to be easy going into this, and Lily Cove kept pace the entire game, even having the momentum in some spots.
Oh man.
How you feeling? What's the thoughts that are going through your head while it's fresh?
Um, well, okay. I was First of all, I was super surprised to see the Golurk survive that turn of Weather Ball and then Blizzard, and then to KO my melodic right back. That like threw my entire game plan right out the window. It surviving that double up right there, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, you know, so that kind of threw things. Like my whole plan kind of went out the window after that. After that, melodic went down and the Golurk survived. Thankfully, I did do enough damage that it was like kind of threatening enough to be to to be kind of like I like kind of got rid of the problem for the most part. But then the Scizor was there too, and so I had to to protect my guy. I had to sacrifice my Cleavor for his Scizor on a turn, but yeah,
Right.
that was a sweaty match. That was a close one.
Yeah, no, you definitely did not disappoint you and Lily Cove. This is one of those matchups where we all anticipated it. We really wanted to see it happen, and game one really hasn't disappointed. It's just going to be a matter of time to see if Lily Cove can respond, or if you're going to take a commanding 2-0 lead against this former semifinalist or former finalist.
Yeah,
Um,
no, well, like I mentioned in my interview, like the game one definitely sets the tone. So I'm like, this was the most important game for me to win. Obviously, this and like the last game to wrap it up.
right.
But setting the tone for the series and winning game one definitely feels good. It feels like I'm like in the driver's seat now. So it'll
Right.
be
And
interesting to see how my opponent responds next week or next match here in a couple days. So
yeah, and I think game ones are one of those situations where you've taken command of the series, but now you've got to lock in. This is the part where you have to try hard for the next two games straight and see if you can just rip off that sweep. And it's not an easy opponent to sweep here, but I think you've got them figured out in this singular matchup, even if you had to kind of spitball a few times in the game.
I still can't believe that he survived that blizzard in Weather Ball.
Yeah, and another thing I don't think was talked about enough is that Hatterene living from that fire punch. That was kind of
I
absurd and kind of
actually
clutch there.
I actually was happy that the Hatterene survived. I was attempting to call a switch on the Scizor, um, and the Hatterene surviving on little HP actually was kind of nice because
It
it
helped you
let me
stall
it
out. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It wasn't too threatening. It didn't seem like it had a psychic move to hit this Sneasler, or else it would have sooner. And so I was okay with what was happening. I did have a
No,
little bit of a misplay with my Sneasler and Ninetales on the field there, but it ended up working out in the end.
I
now for
think
that Charizard, it did take a lot of It did take quite the damage during around the end game. Did you build it to be a bit more bulky, or was that just its natural bulk into that Raichu and and Weavile?
Well, the Weavile only landed one triple axle, I think, or maybe two. So it wasn't like too strong of a hit, and it was neutral because of the fire dragon. So at least it wasn't hitting it too hard. And then it resisted the thunderbolt. So there's a lot of things that other than the Golurk on his team, the Charizard resists most of his team, or at least takes neutral damage from it. So it plays really like once I remove the Golurk, like my Charizard's kind of free to, take out whoever it wants to. The Slowbro's a little bit tricky, but I had Shadow Claw on it this week.
I
Yeah,
did
no.
see that. I did like that tech with the Shower Claw, synergizing with the Tough Claws.
Yeah, I actually didn't have any. I didn't use Dragon Dance. I just had 3 attacks on my Charizard. He was there to just do a lot of damage. Figured I would have speed control, and it wouldn't be much of a worry.
Right. And we see that Billy Bolt kind of just doing its job the entire time. It got that accuracy drop at one point as well, which actually came in clutch
Wait,
to extend
yeah,
its lifespan. So, how you feeling knowing that Billy Bolt is reliable even into like a less positive matchup on that Golurk?
I mean, yeah, it's not like the most positive thing, but at least it goes first. So there's a few things that I can do to it to, you know, like that weather ball, for instance, and the muddy waters hit it for super effective and at least, have the chance of lowering accuracy. The belly bolt's mostly there to be annoying. It does
Right.
chip damage and it'll heal itself every now and then, and you got to worry about it, but it's mostly there. It's not like I'm not relying on the thing to be doing big damage for my team.
That quick guard on that cleaver though, that did extend that Sneezer's lifespan to be able to take out that scissor.
Yeah, yeah, and that was a really important play. I know him having, the fake out pressure. It would come in handy at some point. So I'm glad that it came up when I needed to take out one of like the most crucial pieces on his team, which is that Scizor.
Right. Well, I
Yeah.
think that's all the questions we got for you today. Congratulations on taking game one of the series. I know it's going to be an exciting one. So I wish you and Nibble both good luck going forward in this game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He played a great game. Much respect to Nimble.
For sure. Um,
I wish you luck in the best in the rest of your series, Dakota.
Thank you. You as well. You got a series coming up here too. So good luck to you in your series too, gamer.
Thank you.
yeah, no, but I'm Cloms. I was joined here today with G for Gamer, and he'll join us again for game two of this series as well. Um, but until then, we'll see you next time.